Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Tami Gomez Podcast, the number one podcast for kicking your ass and taking names, is what I would say. It's crazy. I want to thank you guys. Number one, I want to thank you guys because I started this podcast January 3rd of this year, and we are already in 25 countries. We've got like 7,000 Spotify impressions, and things are going crazy over this podcast. So thank you guys, because it would not be possible without you. Whether you're out walking your dog, doing your dishes, driving in your car, feeding the family, tuning in to the podcast, I appreciate you guys, and I want to celebrate you for investing in yourself. This is a major thing, because on this planet, not a lot of people are doing that. And so celebrate you, because I know I am. All right. Today's podcast episode is brought to you by nobody but me. So I want to talk today about, you guys have heard the saying, pick and choose your battles. Holy cow. Like, I used to live by that. Like, anytime there would be a scuffle, an argument, a disagreement, something I didn't agree, whatever, I always remember that saying in the back of my mind that says, you know what, pick and choose your battles. And what does that really mean? That means that fight for the things that are worth fighting for. Right? Like, pick and choose your battles. Spend your energy where your energy is best spent. And then as I really started thinking about that, I'm like, dude, I don't want to battle at all. Like, I don't even want to be in a position where I have to pick and choose battles. I don't want to battle. I want my life to go with ease and flow. I want to take the path of least resistance. I want to make sure that my happiness is numero uno in my life. And so I think a better term than pick and choose your battles is just drop the fight, period. Drop the fight. And what does that mean? When we think about dropping the fight or picking or choosing our battles, we immediately start thinking about the external people or things or dogs or whatever that we fight with. Like, it could be your spouse, it could be your pets, it could be your kids, it could be your boss, it could be your friend. Hell, it could be anybody that you fight with. But the one thing that we overlook so often is we fight with ourselves. Like, you'll think of something that you want to do, and then you create this argument in your head about why you shouldn't, or why you couldn't, or that the past is preventing you from creating the future, or I've had too much shit go down in my life to create anything other than what I'm already experiencing, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not deserved, or I'm too young or too old, or whatever. Like, we have this internal fight going on, this internal battle going on in our own minds with ourselves. Forget about anybody else. That internal battle, that fight, is constant. It's constant. The external fights that you have or battles that you have in your life aren't very often. They come and they go, right? It's not a consistent thing every single day with the external people, but it sure as hell is with you. You're fighting yourself every single minute of every single day, whether you know it or not. So I want you to think about this. Today's going to be a short podcast because I want it to be super potent for you. And I want to give you some things to contemplate. I want to give you some food for thought. If you want to create the life that you desire, if you really desire to have happiness, freedom, success, financial freedom, time freedom, a perfect relationship, your own business, whatever it is, whatever you desire to have and create for your life, you better find a way to drop the fight. You know, I talk about the law of attraction and manifesting in my book, Becoming Unstoppable. And there's quite a few chapters in there that talk about resistance. It talks about how to manifest, how to attract things into your life, how to create the life that you desire. The name of the book is Becoming Unstoppable. steps to create the life that you want. And when I'm talking about those things, it's all about dropping the fight. It's all about surrendering to what you want and quit battling yourself on those things. Quit making up excuses. Quit thinking of all the reasons why it could go sideways. Because we know that like attracts like, and that is one of the laws of the universe, that you get what you give. And even though we know that, we still fight ourselves for what we want. We fight for our limitations. Drop the fucking fight. Drop the fight. Life is so much easier when you're just like, you know what? I choose deliberately and intentionally the path of least resistance. I am deliberately and intentionally creating the life that I desire without all of the bullshit resistance, without all the fighting going on in my head. When I recognize it and I'm hypersensitive aware of the battles going on in my own mind, in that moment of awareness, I get to choose to drop the fight. God, what would be the worst that would happen? Ask yourself, what would be the worst thing that would happen if you just dropped the fight within yourself? What would happen is that would bleed over into all of your relationships. You would drop the fight with your spouse. You'd drop the fight with your kids. You'd drop the fight with your boss. You'd even drop the fight with your dogs. You would literally make a deliberate decision and say, I'm not going to fight anymore. It's not that big of a deal. My mental health and my happiness is more important than winning some stupid fight. That's not really going to matter anyway. This battle of the ego is the one thing that buries people the most. It causes depression. It causes breakups. It causes disconnection between people. It causes health problems. It creates disease. It creates poverty. It creates loss. It creates all kinds of things, all of which you don't want. So drop the fight. Drop the fight within you and watch how your attitude changes with everybody else that is external to you. Watch how you begin to drop the fight with them. But it all begins with you. I've said this from day one. Nothing in your life is going to change until you change. This is a big change. This is a big level of awareness. This is something to contemplate. This is something to think about. So, tell me in the feedback, in the comments, give me some feedback on this topic. Are you willing to drop the fight? And how do you think dropping the fight will benefit you? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear. Actually, tell me what you're fighting against, and then tell me how things would change if you drop that fight. How about that? What are you fighting right now in your life? What are you fighting right now in your life that if you were to just drop the fight, how would that change everything for you? That's what I want you to comment. Okay? So, I told you this was a short podcast. It was going to be potent because it's not just about me talking. It's about you doing. And sometimes we don't need a lot of instructions. We don't need a lot of talking to make a drastic, massive change in our life. All right? I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you next week. And from myself and my family to yours, just know that we love you. All right? I'll talk to you guys next week. Have a great day.